In the room. I think Josh is still sitting over in the other building, so why don't we go right here in the front row? Yes, sir. And if you could help us by identifying your name and where you're from, that would help us. And wait for the microphone to come so those that are joining on the web can hear the question. Please, sir, go ahead.
Jean-Baptiste Sueur with Expansion. Nice to see you again, Leo. On your slides, you were mentioning the open marketplace. Can you detail a little bit? Is HP going to open an app store as well for business applications, an open app store?
So, good afternoon, Jean-Baptiste. I was trying to give you a vision and a description of where we're going to take cloud infrastructure and cloud capabilities. And I hope you noticed that HP was talking about the entire stack of cloud capabilities, from the infrastructure all the way up to the devices. Therefore, it goes without saying that we need to have open marketplaces. And yes, in that marketplace you have both applications for the consumer and applications for the enterprise. I'd like to stress that we open this up completely. This won't have to be only HP technology, not only HP applications. There will be other applications in there as well. And as I insisted upon in my speech, it will be open.
Thank you. Right behind you. Yes, sir. In the blue shirt.
On the new strategy, will you be competing with some of your your customers as you offer these cloud services, app stores and things like that?
You know, the great thing about an open marketplace is that you can embrace your partners. This is a huge market, and our first focus will be to continue to work with our customers and partners. I'd like to insist on the fact that it is our customers who are pushing us to create this. There's a lot of demand for additional cloud services, burst out, for example, which would also be delivered as a point of data to our service partners. So I believe that what you will see in the future is a large ecosystem where we'll be actually providing web services and cloud services to our service partners as well. And I think we should view this as a holistic ecosystem and not as necessarily doing a competitive one.
Thanks. And once again, if we could have name and affiliation. Yes, sir. Over here.
Hi, Chris Franksberger with D-Leak. Dr. Apotheker, pleasure to meet you, and I liked your overview. Thank you very much. I have a question. Could you talk a little bit, please, about HP's in general, its plan for the WebOS and how that's going to impact the desktop computer business and also your relationship with Microsoft.
Okay. I'd be delighted to do so. Before I do, just out of intellectual honesty, I have to tell you I'm not a PhD. So thanks for the title, but I don't deserve it. So WebOS is an unbelievably attractive and stunning technology. And the devices we have been able to put on display on February 9th have in themselves a certain set of characteristics that make them unique. This interconnectivity, the fact that they are seamless, they connect seamlessly to each other, and some of the other technology features of WebOS make it into an outstanding web operating system. So we'll be shipping this, first of all, on the dedicated devices, smartphones and the tablet. The touch, our tablet will come out, the touchpad will come out in June. And from that date onwards, there will be wave after wave of technology coming out to support the WebOS platform. There will be a beta version for WebOS running in a browser on PCs available at the end of the year. And you'll see us putting WebOS under that technology on PCs, on Windows PCs, I should add, starting from that point onwards, and we hope to reach 100 million devices a year. We'll put the same technology on our printers, we'll put them on PCs, we'll put them on touchpads, we'll put them on smartphones, so you will see this to become a very massive, very broad platform. And just to be absolutely clear, Microsoft is a great partner. Microsoft will remain a great partner. The way we have enabled our WebOS technology allows us actually to leverage the entire Microsoft ecosystem as well.
Before we take the next question, I'd like to welcome our CFO, Kathy Leschak, to the stage. Kathy, welcome. We had a chance here in the room to see your entire presentation, so given the number of questions, I think we're just going to continue. The gentleman in the middle with his hand raised? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Rick Merritt with the E-Times. Leo, you've been quoted as saying that you're going to increase investment in technology. R&D is at like 2.5% of sales. Can you give any specifics about the increase that you're going to be putting into R&D and into the HP Labs budget also?
So as I've said numerous times, R&D is not just measured in dollars. It's about effectiveness as well, and it's about the effectiveness of the entire R&D process from the innovation point to bringing it to market. I indicated early on that we need to get a little bit better in that. I believe that what you have seen today, looking at some of the technology around Vertica, demonstrates a capability that HP really has, and when we put our teamwork together in this case, with what is still today a partner, Vertica, we can actually make things happen really quickly. And you'll see much more of this coming out of HP in the future. We'll focus on driving a lot of innovation straight into the market in a significantly more effective manner. This being said, in this fiscal year, we are actually investing more into R&D. Our R&D expense grows faster than our revenues, and we wanted to do this explicitly, as there are many technologies that we really want to capture.
We think this sets us up very well for future growth, and it's completely funded through gross margin expansion and our continued focus on operational efficiencies.
Yes, sir.
Can you give some numbers there?
No.
I think the number is that it's growing faster than revenue.
While Kathy comments, I'd like to take the first question from the web, and it was, can we just get a summary from you, Kathy, on the dividend announcement and as well as the EPS topics, just so we get them right?
I think it's really important to recognize that coming out of this strategy, we're really focused on three things. The first one is on growth. The second one is on operating margin expansion, and that really comes from growth in higher margin categories. So it's really around gross margin as well as operational excellence. And then that is supported by a very strong focus on our capital allocation priorities and basically returning cash to shareholders. The sum of the actions that we're taking and the strategy that we have, we believe gets us to at least $7 non-GAAP EPS in 2014. We also announced today that we are increasing our dividend at the next time that the dividend is declared. We will increase our dividend from a quarterly dividend of 8 cents to 12 cents per share. And I think as importantly, it's our intention to increase the dividend on an annual basis in at least the double digits.
Thanks, Kathy. Back here.
Aaron Riccadello with Bloomberg News.
Aaron, just wait for the mic if you would. Thanks.
Aaron Riccadello with Bloomberg. Hi, Leo. And can you talk, you used the phrase HP launching a public cloud earlier today. Can you talk a little bit more about what gets delivered or provisioned with that and how that differs from the App Store that you talked about separately?
Well, in fact, the App Store is just part of the cloud. It's all part of one holistic cloud offering. Cloud is much more than just a particular element of it. HP has the ambition of being in all of the layers of the stack of a cloud. By the way, be it private or be it public. By the way, be it public or be it hybrid. Because we do believe that in the future, the really pervasive technology is going to be a combination of traditional, private, and public cloud offerings. Now, this being said, if you want to be in the cloud business, then you have to cover all of the layers. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and I can't insist enough on platform as a service, because that is really the enabling part of the entire cloud. It used to be called in the old days middleware. And then on top of that, you have some of the enabling services, such as a marketplace and different applications that you provision out of that marketplace straight into the devices. There are layers of software in between in order to really enable the fact that any device that is connected to this kind of a cloud environment really gets the kind of information it needs in order to display and render the kind of information that you really want, which gives WebOS a huge competitive advantage, because WebOS happens to be the operating system that assumes that you're all the time connected and allows for multitasking.
So if I could just ask a follow-up to that.
Go ahead, Aaron.
And so should we think about this infrastructure and what you call platform as a service? Is that primarily for ISV partners, or is this primarily for end user organizations?
It's going to be an environment that enables developers to create the kind of innovation they need to create, test it, run it, deploy it, secure it, because we haven't even touched on security, so that through this cloud environment, any kind of developer can actually deliver his or her innovation through either the consumer or the enterprise or the SMB, whatever the speaker would like to do. And the platform services, just to give you an illustration of how scalable this can be, we're going to make it available to our SMB partners, and for those who want to create specific applications for segments or geographies, they can do this using our platform services.
Thanks. Right here in the front row, could we get a microphone up front? Yes, sir.
Hi, Quentin Hardy from Forbes. You seem to be stressing a lot more developer initiative. You want a lot more developers working with you, both small scale and large scale. What does that mean for your own business on enterprise services and software? And who are your important partners as you try and build up a more higher value-added software business?
So I just want to go on record by saying that we will continue to be good partners with all of our existing partners, be they Microsoft or others. And that's an important statement because we all serve customers, and we want to make sure that our customers, our joint customers, get the best possible service from quote-unquote the industry. That is a vested interest we all have. Our enterprise services business is going to be even more strategic in the future than what it is today. It is the enterprise services capability that helps us move customers from wherever they are today to whatever kind of environment they need to be in the future. This whole notion of hybrid environments requires deep cloud capability from a service point of view, and I'm happy to say that that's a capability that HP has invested in the past and that we can leverage on because we have it already today. Now, in this open environment that I'm talking about, there will be HP software, but there will be a lot of non-HP software, because at the end of the day, we can't create all of this innovation by ourselves. Now, let's take a thing that is probably in everyone's mind, take an ERP. I happen to know something about ERPs. It would be totally pointless for HP to try to reinvent an ERP when there are great ERPs around. So we'll be more than happy to partner with an ERP vendor, some of which are in Germany, to really work with them and deliver some of their things through our cloud.
Thanks, Larry. On the edge, on the right side.
You have an Asian Investors Business Deal. This is to that point about the growing software business. You said you're going to avoid applications and sell more software by partnering for applications. And I'm curious, you know, I know a lot of SaaS vendors' hearts just dropped when you said that, but where in software do you go? I mean, infrastructure, the Red Hats, the TIBCOs, not necessarily you have to name a company, but what else can you do to grow from 2.9% of your revenue?
Well, there's a lot of things we can do. Let me start by analytics. That is a huge space, and to be quite frank, poorly served today by the industry. We just showed you some capabilities on the technology side. We will leverage this and other technologies that we will either build or acquire in order to build out a complete vertically based analytical offering. And I'm talking about real analytics, not backwards looking analytics. That's point number one. Security. We're going to continue to build out our stack for security. I believe there's a huge opportunity here. It is probably the most important application anyone can create in a connected world anyway. So you'll see us doing much more on the security side. And let's be clear, there is in our platform offering, we're going to develop quite a lot ourselves, but there are also some things that we probably will want to acquire.
Thanks. Before we take the next question, I just want to acknowledge that there's quite the international presence here today with delegations from the UK, Russia, India, and a sizable delegation from China, and we really appreciate them attending. Yes, sir, right here in the middle.
Yeah.
Wait for the microphone, please. Just behind you.
Tim Beharon, Creative Strategies. Can you clarify, when you talk about security as one of those key components, how that would be applicable and what you might do in the context of WebOS and specifically consumer?
So it's a great question. There is a whole notion that needs to happen where we as an industry, and HP wants to take the lead in that, secure the entire experience from the end device all the way back into the data center, and then from the data center back into the device, and secure the entire stack. I think it's an industry-wide effort. HP would like to take the lead. We have a lot of the capability. We don't have all of the capability. We need to add a few, but I'm very happy to see that also within our WebOS effort, we have been putting, by design almost, a lot of stress on the security part of WebOS. So the entire stack will be probably the most secure currently available.
And I think one critical part to that is that you really got the convergence of the consumer and the professional into a prosumer. And so they now have the desire and the need to have security back into their business and their enterprise, as well as on their personal side.
Thank you. Right here in the front row. You've been patient, thanks.
Charlie Babcock with Information Week. Leo, good to be here. And as you discussed public cloud computing, we have some formidable competitors already in Amazon and Microsoft, Backspace. Can you describe the extent to which you would be building cloud data centers? Would you think in terms of one or two? Can you give any sense of scale to your public cloud computing effort?
Well, as I indicated during my speech, let me try to answer it in the following way. If you want to be in the cloud business, it has to be on a large scale. It has to be multilingual. You have to be able to serve customers everywhere. And I'll let you figure out what that means in terms of locations, in terms of data centers, in terms of the combination of where you can put computers and data centers and servers and the law and all of the various parameters that we're very familiar with.
Thanks. Okay, Helen, right here in front.
Hi, Helen Lauder with the Financial Times Germany. Leo, can you say anything about how the events in Japan are impacting HP's business also in the coming quarters as events unfold? And we don't really know what's going to happen with us for a few months and quarters, if not years. Thank you.
So first of all, before even analyzing the business impact, our thoughts, all of our hearts, all of our emotions, all of our empathy goes out to the people in Japan and to our people, to the HP people and the HP customers in particular. We are a significant player in Japan. We do quite a lot of business there. So, and I was actually in Japan about a week ago. So, we are in the process of trying to analyze what's happening. The good news is all of our people are safe. Our infrastructure has not been really touched, so that's good as well. So we are almost back to business, almost as normal. And we're trying to assess all of the impacts of what's happening as we speak. It's probably a little bit early to give an indication on that.
Regarding to that, I want
Thanks.
to have
Right here. Hold on, let's get the microphone to you. You
thank
wait in
you.
the second row. Thanks.
This is my pleasure to make questions. Thank you very much for your opportunity. My name is Ayako Jacobson. I am working for Toyo Keizai Business Magazine, established 1895. In Tokyo, there is Akishima factory, and as you know, there is a rolling blackout is going on. So you say that it's normal, and which means like no damage or no effects because of the earthquake.
And what I'm saying is that the infrastructure hasn't been affected, so there hasn't been any destruction, at least not in our side, fortunately. And most importantly, all of our people are safe. So we're trying to get organized, and there are some communication challenges, there are transportation challenges, we're very familiar with that. So it's early days for us to be capable of giving you any assessment of what's going on in Japan. But at least I'm able to say today that we are capable of functioning and delivering needed services to our customers who really need it badly given the circumstances.
lots of Japanese people are using HP computers here. So, and do you have something like thinking about set up the Red Cross website to donation or something?
That's already done. The HP Foundation has already donated, and we will be matching every dollar that every employee throughout the world of HP will be given dollar to dollar.
Thank you so much.
It's also worth noting, because we think that there'll be continuing questions, that we have a crisis team working. We're in daily contact with our managing director in Japan, and throughout this crisis, you can reach out to us if you're interested in the impact on HP, and as we have information available, we'll be happy.
And we're setting up same sorts of war rooms to help our customers in Japan, where many of them have had their infrastructure negatively impacted, obviously by the damage that was done.
And given it was a great idea of the HP computers, going forward, we will only answer questions of those journalists who have HP.
This made my job a little bit harder. The gentleman on the row here in the sweater. Thank you. Wait for the microphone.
Great, thanks. Gavin Clark with the Register. We chatted a few times in the past when you were with SAP. Question kind of on the Microsoft relationship. One is the cloud. I know that last July HP announced a relationship with Microsoft to deliver an Azure appliance and an Azure cloud. I'm taking it the cloud that's coming out will be based on Azure, and if yes, we also consider other options like OpenStack. And then secondly, I was kind of curious about the mix of kind of tablets that will be coming out from HP. It's obviously the big focus on WebOS, but will you also continue to ship tablets and slates with Windows 7, Windows 8 on them as well?
So the technology that we will be using for our cloud infrastructure is going to be based on a certain number of technologies. Let's not go into that right now. What is more important, I think that's the foundation of your question. The relationship between HP and Microsoft was strong, is strong, and will remain strong. There's absolutely no change in that. To the contrary, in fact, we do work very closely together. And just as a proof point of that, our WebOS technology is very seamless when it comes to working with Microsoft's Windows technology, and you can actually leverage one of the other. So we will be shipping in the future PCs, Windows-based PCs that contain also WebOS.
And tablets?
Tablets, we will be shipping WebOS tablets, but we will also be shipping Windows tablets. We just need the right version of Windows to do that.
And right here in the front, in the middle.
I'm John Polano with eWeek. It seems that you're playing pretty much catch up in the field of analytics, say, and high performance computing, and perhaps even cloud computing, say, vis-a-vis IBM in particular. Do you feel, will it be particularly, do you feel that you have a hard time, or will it be a challenge to compete at that level with competitors such as IBM?
So with all due respect, I happen to disagree. I don't think we're playing catch up to anyone, certainly not when it comes to IBM. In fact, I found it amusing to read an interview by a senior IBM executive yesterday commenting on the strategy we just announced today. Seems to indicate some nervousness. So when we talk about analytics, which is something that I think a number of us know really well, I don't believe that anyone up to today really has a really powerful, a really scalable, a really technology solution for analytics. I believe HP can open up a lot of ground here and actually create that market, in particular when we'll be able to deliver analytics as a service, because basically everything we will do in the future will be delivered as a service, analytics as well. And moreover, when these analytics will be delivered by industry verticals. Most importantly, you can't just think about analytics in the framework of large enterprise. You also have to think about analytics in the framework of SMBs who actually need these more. So our strategy to deliver that as a service will make a huge difference to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of customers. Cloud, I find is amusing. HP has been in the cloud business for years. We have invested significantly into cloud in the past. We probably do already billions and billions of dollars of cloud business. The vast majority of cloud infrastructure in the world runs on HP. So when it comes to catching up, I wonder who has to catch up.
Thank you. Right here in the front row.
Patrick Houston with NetShelter Technology Media. Question, you based a large part of your strategy on the open cloud. To what extent will you be embracing other operating systems besides WebOS and Windows?
Well, let's start with these two and take it from there. And that question specifically addresses just the devices. And there are underlying stacks that you need to look at as well. And I hope that we can support a number of technologies that will create the most open environment possible. We'll be working very hard to make that happen.
Thanks. Right here, second row.
Yes, one zero. So just over Germany. I have a question for Kathy. You mentioned during your presentation that HP is not going to invest into old software. Could you define what you mean by old software?
I think how you should think about it is that we're looking at the software that's going to allow us to continue our develop our strategy in cloud and connectivity. And it's really the software that pulls it all together. It's not about an old software stack. It's about the new stack, the new cloud stack, and investing in developing that.
Right here in the front row.
Hi, Phil Keys with BK Electronics. I can understand why you want to put WebOS on PCs, because it would really improve the developer base for the product. But could you give us a bit of your vision as to what it will do for the customer experience?
I'll be more than happy to do that. In fact, I would love to point you back to what we showed on February the 9th when we actually put WebOS out in the market on 3 devices, on 2 smartphones and the touchpad. And we'll actually be showing some of that technology across the street later on so you can actually see it. I don't want to do the big commercial for WebOS right now, but it is a user experience that is world-class. I dare say, to use the Californian expression, it is beyond, it's awesome and cool. It's absolutely amazing. It is intuitive, it's easy to learn, you get it instantaneously. It does multitasking perfectly well. The devices know that they are all talking to each other, they have a seamless experience, and a few other things that make it just remarkable. So I invite you to come and take a look. That will be much better than any sales pitch I could give you.
There was a hand raised in the back. Yes, sir. Second to last row.
Hi, Martin Giles from The Economist. Are you, I know you've only been here 4 months, or just over 4 months, but your internal structures and the people who are running your key businesses, I mean, you've outlined a very ambitious strategy here. Do you anticipate changing any of those internal structures or people, and if so, who and which structures? Yeah.
So let me give you the real answer to this question. I hope you're ready to write it all down. We're here to talk about strategy.
Very good. Yes, sir, right here.
Excuse me, Joe Kovar with CRM. HP's traditional, probably biggest partner for 20 years has been Oracle, but over the last year we've seen a huge rupture in the relationship between HP and Oracle. Yet, if you look at the HP solution partner base, a lot of them work with both companies. And I know that they're very interested in seeing some type of rapprochement between the two companies. Can you talk a little bit about the Oracle relationship and the prospects going forward for an improvement